Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Live to Roll channel. I'm your host, Brianna Wheeler. We're back with another women's disability show. I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about the anniversaries of our injuries today and just kind of going over like the first year moments and how we kind of felt and different stuff like that. So if this is your first time here, I'll introduce myself and just tell you a little bit about myself. So my 5-year life day is actually coming up on Saturday, which is super exciting. And I was injured by being wrongfully shot. A gun went off behind my seat and I became a T12 L5. So let's go to Ashley and Nicki.
Hi guys, I'm Ashley, this is Nicki. I am a C4 quad. We were injured in a car accident back in 2019, and our life day was actually just yesterday, March 17th. So, 2 years.
Yes, happy Life Day, guys.
Thank you. 2 years. And then I'm Nicole, and I'm a T6 paraplegic, and I was injured with her. So, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Let's go to Jessica.
Hi everyone, my name's Jessica Brito. I am C6. I was injured when I fell asleep driving. My life day is in July, and this past July I hit 10 years.
How exciting. Okay, let's go to Erika.
Hello everyone, I'm Erika. I am a T6 and 7 para. My life day is November 1st and it's going to be 3 years this year. And yeah, that's a little about me.
Thank you. So excited to be here. So we were running a little bit behind today. Bear with us. We're going to go through some questions. I got to do the Easter Films Disability Challenge this morning, so my head is a little bit all over the place, but still really exciting. For those of you who don't know, it's a challenge where people that are in chairs get to be a part of a team and create a film based on like a certain topic or genre. So the topic this year is mockumentary. So it was really exciting, really fun. Make sure to check out the videos and previous ones. Okay, so our first question is going to be, how did you feel the months and days leading up to your first anniversary? And why we really pin on the first one is because it's when that really the initial like shock is there. And for me, definitely was the hardest. I was crying like probably 2 weeks, probably that whole month. I was really, really depressed my first year because my brain was just so focused on everything I lost. Also remembering just the memories of that day, and it was extremely hard for me. I remember crying nonstop, and probably for days after that, I just dwelled in it and I thought about it constantly. So that's kind of how the first year went for me. How about you, Jessica? How was your first year? That was a while ago.
Definitely. So my life day falls on July 3rd. So it's always odd because um, my family is big on 4th of July. So I think that day, it was kind of a shocker that it had been a whole year. I know that I tend to just live day by day. I don't really think about time passing. So it always creeps up on me, and I'm like, oh shit, it's my anniversary type of thing. I think that day, I didn't do much my first year. I was still home a lot, and we were just kind of getting ready for 4th of July, fireworks and stuff. So my first year, I didn't really, other than the fact that I was like in shock that a whole year had gone by. I think there was like some sadness, but I was also like, whoa, I've come so far. The At the beginning, like I know I couldn't even feed myself. And I think by my anniversary, I was pushing a manual wheelchair when I had actually been in a power chair up until I think November. So I was slowly starting to push myself again independently. Obviously, I still had 24-hour care with me. But yeah, I was able to look back and kind of notice how far I had already gone in a year. And yeah, that's kind of, mine wasn't too eventful.
Yeah, I think that you make a good point when you're doing things during your first year and trying to like grow rather than not. Cause like that's really the difference between me and you was like I wasn't trying to do anything more. I still had my hospital wheelchair. I was still not going out. I still hadn't met anybody inside of a chair. So it was just there was nothing for me to look back on and like, oh, look how great this year was. That didn't come till afterwards. So that's really interesting of how motivated you are in the beginning could affect how you feel later on about it.
And it's
Interesting.
interesting because I always say that the power of denial is really amazing. Like I was too busy, like I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna get better, that I was just always at the gym or training, or I had already met people in chairs too. So yeah, I think that that's true what you say.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. How about you, Ashley and Nikki? How was your first year?
Our first year, for
Yeah,
me,
your
was
first life days.
really, it was like up and down. And then leading up to it, the first year anniversary was kind of like sad
Hmm.
because it was like I was still
Why
kind
do
of
you feel
grieving.
like it was sad?
I feel like I was still grieving who I was and all that.
Hmm.
But it also was like I'm here, I'm alive. I did that.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool that you guys were still motivating each other at
Yeah,
that point too, and
because
not letting
because
yourself
the
sit
first
there.
year you go through a lot when you
Hmm.
first get a spinal cord injury. It's a lot the first year.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
How about you,
emotion.
Nikki?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You feel
think
the
for
same
me,
way, or you want to add on anything to that?
I think my first year, the life day, like Ashley said, it was like the first year's a lot. Like it's a lot of emotions, but it also was like a like reflect a lot and be able to like see kind of how far I came in just a year of being injured. So at the time, I don't think I looked at it as a life day. I was like, so like it was just the day that I got injured, and ours is on St. Patty's Day, and so it's like two holidays, I guess, like similar to Jessica,
Yeah.
and it's like you're like everyone's celebrating this, but it's kind of like a bad memory now. It's not like all exciting and stuff anymore.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think how we view it too, because I didn't know about a life day neither. And just for
Yeah,
the people watching, we call it different things. Some people call it like anniversary, your rebirth day, anniversary of your injury. People have different terms for it. And it's just kind of how you feel. So yeah, I use life day, so that's why you'll probably hear me saying it throughout it a
yeah.
little bit. Um, so yeah, that's so interesting. How about you, Erica? How was your first year of your injury?
First, I just want to shout out Andrew. He commented. He's from the UK, so hi, Andrew. Also, for me, I think it's very different. So I've said this often. I don't do life days. I don't celebrate it. The day of my accident, someone very near and dear passed away to me, so I don't really see that day as me being the priority. That day kind of, and the days before it kind of set the tone for like remembrance, and then like my actual life day, I guess you could call it, is November 1st, which in the Hispanic culture, it's like the Day of the Dead. So it's really pretty actually. I start doing an altar that month, and then just like doing all the things um, that he loved and that he enjoyed. We'll go to eat in his favorite spots. I'll watch his favorite movies. So I think like it doesn't really give me a moment or a space to really think about myself. Like, I think that kind of helps in a way because all I'm focused on is someone else and just like the beauty of their life and like all the moments we shared. So it's not necessarily so much about like my disability or what I went through. So that's kind of why I feel like I have a different take, which is
Mhm.
fine. Everyone does things differently. Just for me, like my life day does not exist. Like, that's the last thing I'm thinking about the day of my accident.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And does that day still was the first one harder than the ones that came afterwards?
I wouldn't say it was harder, because it was actually pretty pretty. Like, I planned this like party. This is pre-COVID. So we had this
Mhm.
like kind of like Day of the Dead party for him, and all my family came and we had food. We did piñata. Like we did a bunch of fun stuff that day. We went to go see him in the morning. So I think like that day was honestly just like happiness because I was surrounded by people I love and that people we could share stories about him. That's all we did that day, just
Mhm.
like talk about him and all these really nice things. So I think that kind of that helped a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I love that so much. And I think that it's important to do that for life days, anyways, for anniversaries. I really like feel like for me, I have to embrace the whole day just with happiness. I really plan out what I'm going to eat and I just plan out like happy moments that I want to do. This year is of course going to be a little bit different because we can't really go that many places, but I really just plan a whole day out of it and just of happiness and fun and being around people who I love, and I think that that's important because what a difference it is than crying all day long or all month long. And this day, I really choose to not focus on the day of my injury, like I did in the beginning, but I focus more on everything that I'm grateful for that I got to do after my injury. That's what I dedicated this day to, my anniversary day to. So some other days I have where I want to reminisce and be sad about this injury, I do it. But this day is not the day for that. Of course, it brings those memories up, but I don't stay stuck on them. I really try to just tell myself positive things this day and just try no sadness. The mornings are usually the hardest for me. The day before is kind of hard, and I've already feel it coming up with these questions and talking about it for it to be my 5 years. Brought up a lot of emotions for me. So yeah, that's kind of how I spend my days and the difference of my first year to really 5 years later of how I do things. How about you, Ashley and Nikki? How do you celebrate and have any traditions that you do or created over this year or want to create since you're only 2 years in?
Yeah, no. I think for both of us, it's a little different. Like, I feel like Ashley, you want like to celebrate. You wanted to celebrate it, and I was kind of like, it's like weird to me that a date, like a significant date like that, can bring up so much emotions because it's kind of like, yes, it's celebrating that I'm alive, but it's also like I lost so much that day. So for me, it's like I don't know if I hate the day or if like just brings up a lot of emotions. Like even just still being our day was just yesterday, I'm still like all in my feels. But we also made a good day out of it because one, it used to be a fun day because it used to be St. Patty's Day fun, and I used to be a bartender, so I used to always party on St. Patty's Day. And then now it's also like just the day that just like so much changed. And also because it happened like late in the day, I think I just think about what I was doing like 2 years ago. Like
Yeah,
it's
memories start
crazy.
popping up.
Yeah, because with social media, all the memories start popping up, and you're like, wow, like who would have thought 2 years ago, let alone 3 years ago, that this would be my life, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think that that's one of the hardest things about it is the memories. And having that to like relate and think about, and think about where you were before, that whole day. And it's hard and emotional, and it does bring up a lot, because we did lose a
Yeah.
lot that day, but the way that I look at it is like I could have lost a lot more, and of course everybody has their different takes on it. Again, like my first year and even my second year was really hard because I was going through trial. And when I went through trial, I had to rewatch everything from like the cop's point of view and like listen to the 911 call and listen to like me call my mom and just all these emotions. So then it brought like all these new memories and feelings to this day. And it was so hard for me not to dwell on it, And like I say, those feelings still come up and I say to feel them because you did lose somebody that day, and it does hurt, but the way that I would want her to be celebrated though. She wouldn't want me to be sad, and that's the way I look at it. I look at us as two different people, me before my injury and me now. And so I feel like the old me would not want me sitting here crying on this day. She went through so much, and I'm still here. So that's my take on like how I keep on going throughout the day and keep myself from falling in those sad traps. How about you, Jessica? Do you have to tell yourself any reminders, like being 10 years out compared to like 2 years in? Do you have to like tell yourself any reminders, or do you ever get like sad? Is there anything like that?
Mm, I think it's I don't know, it's weird. I don't think I've ever um I had never celebrated my life day, or I'll forget that it is my life day. I've been out partying with friends, and then I realize what day it is, and I'm like, you guys, it's 3 years in. Like, that's about the most I had ever done for that
Mhm.
day. Um, when I hit my 10 years, I did. It was COVID, so I couldn't do anything big, but I got like 7 of my closest friends. We rented a Duffy, we went out, we partied, popped bottles and just made the best of it. But it was literally the first year I ever celebrated. And it was more because it was 10 years, and I think this past year has been a year where the more and more I think about it, the more I reflect on how far I've come. I don't really do that too often. I kind of just move and go. And I guess sitting down and realizing like all the things I've accomplished in the past 10 years, and how this injury never really stopped me. I think this was the first year that I actually took the time to do that. It was more of like, damn, look how far I've come, as opposed to sadness.
Mhm.
Throughout the years, I like, again, I would forget. So there wasn't much sadness. One year, the day of my accident, I was chilling at home watching TV, and my friend was in a car accident the same day.
Oh my goodness.
This past year was really cool. So we have a lot of losses on the day of our anniversary, and this year my niece was born on the day of my anniversary,
Oh,
and
that's so
she
special.
yeah. So, and it's funny because like my other niece was born the day after my birthday, so um it's not about me anymore. Like, the world is
Mhm.
about them. So I know that moving forward, I know July 3rd will always be her birthday. I'm Like I said, I guess I celebrate the bigger milestones, like 10 years, 5 years. But to say that that day, I don't know, like it's always been like just another day, and 4th of July is the next day, so we just party. But I don't think I really take the time for sadness. I think the first year, like we all say, is the hardest. Even the second year, I think the second year was more of realizing like, oh shit, it's been 2 years and I'm still here. I think I had a really big focus the first 2 years on walking independently and being back to normal. That was kind of big the second year, that I was like, oh, I'm still in a chair, and kind of the reality started setting in. But I kind of was already making my peace with it, so it wasn't even like sad.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It's just like that memory, and like that's what I was telling my mom, because I was like, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional about it, like thinking about these 5 years. And like she was just like sent me like this inspiring message, and I was like, but it's not all sad. Like, it's not sad emotions. Like, I just feel so overwhelmed, like with the emotion of all the things that I've gotten to do since my injury, and it's just like, even being in the disability community, like I remember just rolling into those rooms and just being the new person there, and to be able to just be seen as like equal to the people that I look up to is like so inspiring for me. It just like motivates me so much to keep like crushing my dreams and keep on like doing things and living my life. And I think because I took those 2 years to be so depressed, I feel like I would have never got to experience these things if I just gave up. like if I still would have been laying inside my bed, like I hear some people, they don't get over this right away. It does take them years to do it. And when they finally do come out to the events and stuff, they are enjoying life again and they're loving life, and that's what I got to experience, smiling again and laughing. And so it just makes me so emotional and blessed that I get the chance to do these things and still smile and still live my life and do what I want to do. So all those emotions come just flooding in. And I'm usually really good about it. It usually does not bother me as much, but just thinking like how far it's been. I'm sure you felt it, Jessica, with your 10 years as well. It's just this like, wow, like so
Yeah.
many different things. So pretty crazy. Yeah. So Erika, you kind of already talked about your traditions and like what you do on that day. Do you want to add anything to that? Anything special?
Yeah, I just wanted to add like I kind of like how you guys made it a little bit about like looking back and reflecting because I feel like I don't really do that and I feel like like that life day gives you like that point to like actually look and do that because I feel like I don't ever do that until it's like something else or until it's like something big, but I feel like life day, yeah, it's important to like look back and reflect. There's also a lot going on in the chat, but I want to say Caesar's here, and Andrew's here, Otis, Peter. Shout out for Ashley and Nikki from World of Hurt, LM Hill. So there's a lot going on in the chat, but yeah, thank you guys all for supporting and coming out and listening to our lives.
Yes, thank you guys so much for joining and tuning in. If you have any questions for us at all, feel free to put them in the chat. If you guys want to communicate with each other, totally fine. It's open for you guys, so let us know. Yeah, definitely. I agree. It's such a point of reflection, and like I didn't look at it like that neither. And I was so surprised. I remember when I heard the term Life Day, I was like, it just like stung me. I was like, wow, I really didn't think about it like that to make it like a positive thing instead of a negative thing, since it's such a traumatic event that happened. I didn't understand how to like switch it around to something that's positive, and it took me a lot of practice, honestly. And like I said, the emotions still come up. So yeah, definitely. So talking a little bit more about like first year moments, was it hard for you to stop comparing life after your injury to before your injury? And what are some of those triggers and those emotions that bring up those thoughts for you? Ashley and Nikki, you want to go?
For me, I don't think I like compared or like wanted my life before the injury, but I imagine like wow, like the future I envisioned is kind of it changed now, and that was a struggle for me at first. But I'm gonna be a baddie, so it's okay. Yeah.
How about you, Nikki?
Um, like the days leading up.
No, was it hard for you to
Well,
stop comparing life after your injury from before your injury?
before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. I feel like it's of course that's gonna be normal. I mean, especially I feel like if you do like Ashley and I were 24, like we lived a lot of our life, more of our life walking than we did as disabled. So you're going to compare. That's gonna be natural. I just think sometimes like don't like I have to remind myself like you're just here because life is really different and I think sometimes we're told like push down our emotions and like we're also told like at least you're alive and like yeah of course we know that we're like but I think people that's a little insensitive because of course you're going to grieve the life that you had before and compare it, especially if you're injured in a time like a significant time in your life where you thought your life was going to be one way and then it goes another. And this injury is just life changing and I think it's important to let yourself go through the emotions and just appreciating the life that you do have now, even if it looks totally different.
Yeah, definitely. I agree so much. And you touched on really, really great points. How about you, Jessica?
Yeah, I think so. I think feeding off of what they said, I think what Ashley said, I agree. I think when I woke up, I think I always planned my life. I think I was like 10 years old when I started planning, like what's next, what's my future look like. And waking up, I remember the hardest thing was I can't plan for something I don't understand. Like, what can this body do? And not having a plan for the first time in my life, that was hard. Um, Another thing was I was really grateful that I did so much at such a young age. When I was a teenager or a young teen, I got injured at 21. I remember like, damn, I shouldn't have gotten pregnant at 16. And, you know, you're thinking about like, um, maybe I started partying too young. Maybe I did too much at a too young of an age. And then when I got injured, I was like, oh, thank God I did all that. Like, I was like, I'm so happy I did so much before I got injured. Because that was one thing where I was like, okay, I didn't miss out on too much. And I thought that for a long time. And then, like Nicki said, I remember, and I've worked with newly injured patients, and I remember when people would tell me, like, it's such a blessing that you're alive. And sometimes I would be like, is it though? Is it? Is that really the blessing? And just thinking that sometimes during those hard moments when you do, I think the one thing that I compared a lot was, how much quicker would I do this if I was walking? One thing that even 10 years later, like that I will always compare and I think I'm gonna always miss is so I'll go out, I dance, I have fun. I've been to I've been to the roulette experience, like dancing in a wheelchair, like I do it all, right? But I'm Mexican, and before my accident, I only dance what we call banda corridos, and that type of music you dance like with your partner, like standing. And I think that's one thing that I love that music still to this day. But every once in a while, when I'm like somewhere live with that music, like it still like stings a little that I can't do it. But I think that's like the one thing that I'm gonna always miss. And it's just that I'm like, because that's the one thing that I can't do sitting. I can go like to booty popping music, and you could still like but when it comes to that type of music, it's a different experience. So I think that's the only thing that still kind of pulls at my heart.
Yeah, that's such a good point because, like, something that I tell newly injured patients when I'm talking to them is like they want to know when it goes away, that feeling. And I'm just like, it honestly doesn't go away. It hits you at different moments. You get better at learning how to deal with it, but there's still days and moments where I don't know when it's going to hit me like that. I was watching YouTube video, and this girl was doing a bit where she had a roller skate and she was messing up and she didn't know how to do it. And it made me so emotional because I used to love roller skating. Like, I was the best one. We would go to roller skating rinks. My brothers were on bikes. I was on skates, and it was just my favorite thing to do. And out of nowhere, I just got so emotional remembering those memories and just knowing that that's not going to be something that I'm going to get to feel again. And I think that for me, because I struggle with depression, I have to be very, very careful with these thoughts. Like, I can't let it stay there for too long because it will destroy me. Like, I can focus on negative things all day long. And by me choosing to focus on positive things, it's not me saying that the negative ones aren't happening or aren't there, but it's just they're both happening, positive and negative. I'm having to choose which I have to focus on. And for me and my health, it's better for me to focus on the positive things, and that's when I just like circle back down to my little blessings and have to focus on those little things and tell myself that I am alive, because sometimes I feel like, why am I alive? To suffer, to feel all this pain, and to be going through all these emotions. It could be overwhelming, those thoughts. People forget how traumatic this is. and how it's like you lost the person you created. You lost your goals, you lost your future, you lost this person, and it's hard to lose somebody that you love anyways. And so we have to give ourselves emotions. It's not like something what we just get over. It's something that
Mhm.
sometimes memories creep back in. But just like that, I can't sit there and dwell in that all day long. I have to figure out how to go about this day. And so that's been a real balancing act with this injury. And I still find myself when it's like I have to ask somebody for help or ask somebody to take me somewhere, and it's just like that independent strikes, and I'm just like, I was so independent before. I could have been doing this in freaking second. Like all that anger just comes building up with me, and I just get so angry. And so yeah, that's kind of how that happened for me, and like comparing my life. How about you, Erica? Would you compare your life to before, or like what triggers those emotions for you?
I wouldn't necessarily like dwell or compare, but when I get frustrated, that's a whole nother person. When something doesn't go my way because of my chair, like I can't get somewhere because of it, or like how you mentioned, I get somewhere and there's only stairs, and I'm just like, "Ugh, if I could just walk, this would be so much easier." Or if I didn't have to ask people for help, like you mentioned. Yeah, in those
Mhm,
situations, I'll say it. Like I'll be like, ugh, if only I could walk. But I won't like say it in a painful way, if that always makes sense. Like I
mhm,
say it out loud because I feel like I'm not scared to say it out loud. Like it's fine. Like can say all I want, and that's fine. But I think how you mentioned, like, I don't stay there. Like I say it out loud, I give it to the world, and then I'm like, okay, now let me go find the ramp, even though it's probably like
mhm.
miles and miles away. Or let me find someone that can help me, or whatever. But yeah, those moments definitely are the ones that I'm like, if I like, for example, the biggest one when I first got injured was going to the restroom. Literally was like, it should not take this long to like go pee or go do a bowel or whatever. Like, because at first it takes you so much longer because you don't really know how. So I feel like that to
Mhm.
me was like the most annoying and the most frustrating. But definitely my biggest forte is like staying on the positive side. I know you guys kind of touched on it a little, but for me, I think because someone did pass away the day of my accident, it almost makes me feel like I have to live for two people. Like I have to be happy enough or be adventurous enough for the both of us. I have to want to live life as much as I know he would have wanted to. So I feel like that really motivates me, even when I feel like I don't feel like going somewhere, I don't feel like being social or whatever. I always think like, no, like we would have been on our way together or we would have been there and doing that and no problems. So I always feel like that always is just like, you're right. Okay, let's just simmer down and relax a little and then go ahead and like move forward. So I think that actually really
Yes.
helps me at least.
Yeah, I love that so much, and it's so important to remember because problems are gonna come up, and it's just like it gets to a point where sometimes I'm rushing around and I'm just like dropping things, I'm messing up, I'm forgetting things, and I just start laughing because it's just like something else is going wrong. Like, oh my gosh, okay, now let's just figure it out. And I get almost comical about it now. And my family thinks it's the most funniest thing when I get like that because I'm just like, oh, and my dad's like, are you sure you didn't forget anything? I'm just like, probably, let's go. We're running late, like, let's go on to the next thing already. But it made me a great problem solver, and I feel like I handle life and problems 1,000 times differently. Like for instance, totally random, I cut my finger like almost off, and it was like bleeding so bad, something that I would have freaked out before and like went to the hospital. Given we were a little bit in COVID during that time, I was just like, we're gonna deal with it, splint it up, wrap it up, I'm not dying, nobody's paralyzed, we're good. And so I think that that's interesting take on it. I've gotten great at problem solving. So moving on to physical therapy, I feel like that's really hard during the first year. It was for me because I was just remembered. I was angry again, like talking back, going back a little bit about it. So I was really mean to my therapist and just did not want to be there. I would do what they told me to do, but I was angry about it. I was sore afterwards. So another thing is I had my bullet still in my back, and when the bullet hit me, it it went into little pellets and it fractured my L1 through L5. So all that is all messed up in there and it's pushing on different nerves. And so that can be frustrating for me when I'm in too much pain. And it wasn't until I started recording myself. So I started recording my physical therapy sessions and looking back on them. And that's really what motivated me, because I realized, like, wow, you are growing a lot. You know, you are learning, you are getting stronger. Keep doing what they're telling you to do, come up with new exercises. And it just motivated me in a different way to do it. And also, the beginning, I was kind of looking at walking a little bit more. And then I had to like kind of take that out. I had to decide that I'm going to be doing physical therapy for my strength instead of for walking. If I walk and my legs get stronger, great, you know, but that's not going to be my day-to-day focus, because I think I was focusing in on too much. Like, I want to walk and I'm nowhere close to walking. So like that's what physical therapy was for me. How about you, Ashley and Nikki? How was physical therapy for you guys? Was there any moments that you like really hated or like really empowered you?
So yeah, first thing, I keep seeing Joyce. I just want to shout out my friend Joyce. She keeps commenting. And they're when I was in physical therapy, I'll go first. I think the experience that I had, little story time, was one time I was still in the hospital. I wasn't even in rehab. They brought a mirror, and that was probably like the first time that I was actually gonna look at myself. And when they picked me up, because at the time I couldn't even lift myself up. And I looked at the mirror and they put my legs like dangling the bed. And that moment, as it was like negative but also empowering. It was negative because that was the first time I was seeing my paralyzed body just basically dangling there. And I started crying. But then at the same time, looking at myself, I was like, I still look like me. So for me, that was empowering, because I was like, I saw my dangling little body just there, like a blob. and, but at the same time, I was like, I still look like me, though. Like, it was a weird moment. Mm-hmm. And I was crying, and they were like, want us to lay you down? I was like, no, I want to still look. I was looking at myself crying, like, but it was a weird moment, because in that moment, it was like one of the first times looking at myself, it was like, wow, look how weak I am. Just from being in the hospital for 2 weeks. I think I was in the ICU, couldn't even move my body. It was just weird. And then physical therapy was just time to like get it all back together, you know. What about you? Who's the It's a cute story. What about for you?
Did you
For
say you're
me,
thinking
at first it was hard and frustrating. Because I used to love to write, like pen to paper, and obviously I'm a quad, so I don't have working hands anymore. So that was hard at first and very frustrating to just annoying, because all my quads out there, you probably understand. It's kind of annoying, okay? But then over time, it was just like, you know what, I gotta do what I gotta do. And the biggest part for me is always just losing the independence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I agree. How about you, Jessica? How was physical therapy for you? Especially like in the beginning. And then I saw that you're still going to physical therapy. So how's your feelings on that changed? Has it remained the same?
So, Ashley, of course, once we have a very unique experience. My OTs, I was like, I don't need you, because I'm gonna learn. My hands are gonna come back, my arm, everything's gonna come back, so I don't need OT. And I would just get so annoyed, like, you have to learn to write, you have to learn to dress yourself. So I gave my OTs a really hard time. Of course, shout out to all OTs, because now that I've worked in rehab, I know they're amazing and very important. But that was hard. So I have a very incomplete injuries. So since day one, I've had sensation in my legs. So right away, to me, physical therapy was always my biggest motivation. I always loved it. I I was very focused on walking. Um, and I mean, because I do have movement in my legs. I can get up, I can do steps, I can, so it's weird my injury because I know we're only told 6 months to 2 years to get things back. But I mean, I'm 10 years out and I I can still do physical therapy, but I'm really busy. So I've done everything. I've done Project Walk when it started at Claremont. I have done all PT with insurance covered. I've done like alternative PTs with chiropractors. So especially like the first 3 years, I did everything that I could to make sure to get as much strength back in my legs. But as I started working and going to school, I remember like my poor child, he was the one that struggled the most because I think um, up until he was like 7 or 8, all he knew was therapy, because I would take him with me everywhere. And he was just tired and he was like, Mom, can we just go play? Like, you're not going to walk, let's go. And so I think that's when I was like, okay, I need to just focus on what I need to focus, but I never stopped. So there is a fully adapted gym in Santa Ana. I mean, it's closed right now, but I've had my personal trainers. And so I do get up once a week to keep moving my legs and keep working out. At this point in my life, I just feel that working out is just my thing. Like I have to work out as much as possible. I just did it's called 75 hard. So I was I was working out twice a day every day for 75 days. And so to me working out is just part of life. It's what fuels me and keeps me going. It gives me energy and motivation. I always advise anyone, any of my clients or my patients, it's so important for your mental health to work out and stay active. I still get up. I don't know, like, I think it's crazy because in January, I started walking without any assistance and I'm 10 years in. So this
Wow.
week, the post that you saw for the first time, I'm walking independently, and I did 122 steps. So it just depends.
So
I mean,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. So like
It's
again, my injury is very incomplete. Um, so I have other issues because it's so incomplete. I'm always spasming and my body never stops moving. Like so, I mean, PT just has always been something that I love because I just love being active and moving.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Definitely. How about you, Erica? I know you're super involved with physical therapy. So, did you ever have a negative moment?
No, I think I honestly written therapy is my favorite thing ever. I think the thing that helped the most is that when I first started going, I didn't want to walk again. Like I could care less to walk again. I feel like I really accepted that. Like when I say I accepted that, like the first days of my accident, like I am 100% being honest, and I know some people always say like that's not true, like I don't believe you. But I did. I really would tell my family all the time like I'm 100% okay with never walking again because I feel like I have enough support and I have enough love to like I don't know, like I didn't feel that need to like go to therapy to learn to walk again. I felt like I wasn't gonna do it, but that didn't stop me from trying. So I think what I did instead is focusing on the baby stuff, like not so much like the walking and the harder stuff, like just whatever they were having me do that day. And I'm very competitive. So my therapist kind of played on that. We did like they would stand me up in the standing frame and we would play Wii to like coordinate my balance and I would be in the Wii boxing thing. Like it was like fun therapy. Like I didn't really have any bad experiences at therapy. So we would always do like or we I was in a therapy group also with a bunch of guys and we would race each other in the halls. Like it was very like like tended to my competitive side. So I feel like I always loved therapy because I feel like I didn't have any expectations when I got there. I wasn't like, I'm expecting to learn something new today, or I'm expecting to walk today, or I'm expecting to get new steps. Like, that wasn't what therapy was about for me. It was more like Jessica says, like an exercising outlet. And when I started seeing it like that, it just made it so much more enjoyable, so much more better because I didn't feel pressured to like get stuff back. I didn't feel pressure to get function back. It was just, you know what, we're gonna go today. I'm gonna get out of my chair, stop sitting on my butt finally, get a little bit of relief, and then whatever happens, happens. And I definitely agree with Jessica. Like, they say 2 years is your cap, but I think that's such a lie. I am post 2 years injury and I just started standing a couple months ago. Like that, I think I've gotten stronger now than I was at the very beginning. So I don't think that should also cloud your judgment. I feel like everyone should continue to do therapy, not necessarily for what you're gonna gain, but like I mentioned, like just for your blood flow and your muscles and your pressure sores. Like there's so many more benefits to therapy than to like walk again. So I think that's something that also should be like in the back of your mind when you're gonna try and do it. I know it's hard at first and you're frustrated and you don't want to like give any motivation, but I promise you therapy will be beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree. I didn't realize like how many benefits there are to like standing, and even like just moving your body around, like making sure your muscles don't go sore for when you're getting older in a chair, all those things are so important. And yeah, your focus really plays a part in this as well, because what happens when people go for walking and like so all of us are different, incomplete, complete, same injury. We're considered like all snowflakes. Each one of our injuries are different. We don't know what the future is going to come, like just kind of Erica said, I've 5 years post injury and I'm still getting different things back, getting different movements back. I was recently, just like 2 months ago, able to feel like the wind on my legs. I passed a fan and I was like, what the heck is that? And I felt like just the pressure of the wind on my legs, and it was so new to me. So, don't be discouraged that way, but also don't make it the only reason why you're going. Also focus on the different benefits, because I find like that sometimes when you put all your eggs into one basket, it can make you kind of depressed if that doesn't happen, because we don't know the future. So like, yeah, I think that's so important. And then just like what makes us most angry, and what made us most angry in the beginning and compared to now, thinking back to our first years. And for me, I feel like it's still the same thing. It's the pain of it all and the insurance. I deal with really, really bad nerve pain. So for those of you who don't know, it's when my legs are like literally on fire 24/7. I have severe hypersensitivity, and it's like a sunburn. So somebody like slaps your sunburn, that's the way my legs feel all the time. So it just gets annoying when I'm trying to sleep, when I'm just sitting down, when I'm doing different things, when I'm trying to go about my day. It gets the pain is the hardest part of it. It's like I want to keep on going, and before I was always going, 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 and now that's something that holds me back, because I don't choose to take as much medicine. And so it's just a balancing act and it's frustrating. I got denied from my insurance for a pain stimulator in my back, and that brought up a lot of emotions for me too, because I just felt hopeless. And in the beginning, I would say if I could just not be in pain, then I would be okay. Like the being in pain all the time is so mentally draining. And I've had to learn how to keep myself busy, stay active, and like not be focusing on it, which I didn't know in the beginning. And for me, when I focus on my nerve pain, it makes it 10 times worse. So I really feel like that's what makes me most angry about this injury. And if I could take away one thing out of it, it really would be pain and insurances. Let's just stick them together. um, how about you, Jessica? What makes you most angry about this injury? Has it changed over the years?
Definitely. I think when I first got injured, being a quad, obviously, I needed a lot of help and having 24-hour care. I'm a control freak and I was super independent. my mom would always call me out because I wouldn't say please, and I was like, well, I've never had to ask anyone for anything, so I forget that word exists. So that was really hard. And obviously cathing, I think if you're a female in a wheelchair and having to learn to cath, whether you're a para or a quad, it's hard, but being a quad, for the most part, it's impossible. And for me to overcome that, that's the only thing that would make me get so angry. I'd just start like crying. But obviously at this point in my life, I'm completely independent. So insurance, I'm with you, girl. Insurance. I, you know, I just recently quit my job because my job's insurance wouldn't cover catheters. So it's like they kept saying, "Do you really need this?" And I'm like, if I want to live or I'm gonna die. Um, so insurances, and just the juggling act of like how far below the poverty line do I have to stay in order to have proper insurance, and what kind of jobs can I take? And so yeah, I think insurance, because so the way insurance works, they're healthcare, not insurance. I'll say healthcare. Between the ages of 18 to 45, most people don't ever go to the doctor, you know? And so we're in that age range where all these things isn't something that should be part of our lives right now. So I'm gonna say insurance because
Yeah, definitely. I agree because it was so frustrating to me when I first was injured and I would have to be calling them and fighting with them. And I didn't understand. I would be like, I'm paralyzed. Like, what is your guys' problem? What is worse than being paralyzed? Like, I am really hurt. Like, I'm not faking it,
yeah,
you know? And like what I realized is they group disability as such a huge group of people. So like outer people and disability merges together, and disability can be anything from you got hurt at work, you're literally your foot's broken, they say that you need disability for that, you need unemployment. They merge us all together, right? And it's frustrating for the people who really have illnesses or really have disabilities like paralysis and they need this assistance. And sometimes you get on the phone and the person on the other line have been dealing with people who have just been trying to scam all day long, and they're irritated with you. They're not trying to give you what you need, they're
not
fighting against you.
no. And
Yeah.
honestly, to add is like they don't understand our injury.
Mhm.
So I mean, my job was really awesome. My HR fought with me, which was really cool. And I mean, I have my own practice, so that's what I'm going to focus on now. But at the same time, they don't understand our injury. Like you talk to 7 different people, and they all give you a different story because they don't understand exactly what you need or why you need it. And I think, I mean, it goes back to us always having to educate people, even healthcare providers, on who we are, what's going on with us.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then I just want to mention in the chat, I saw a really good comment from Peter, I think it was. Let me see, where was it? Oh, oh no, Caesar. It sucks when you have a bunch of friends who hang out with each other and you feel left out because you don't want to feel like a burden on them. So I thought that was such an interesting take because for me, I pushed away my friends as well. And so everybody has different friends groups, right? And they're not always the best. And I think it's very different for everybody, but I've talked to a lot of people who lose people in this situation. Um, they don't know how to deal with it. It's society isn't taught to really deal with people with a disability. And what I realized with the people that I was friends with was they didn't feel like they could vent to me anymore. They felt like I was like it shoved that bad things happen in their face, and they were overwhelmed by my injury. They didn't know what to say to me. They didn't know how to make it better, and then that made me just feel more distance as well. So when I would go places, I was still very negative about things. So all I was thinking about was what I was doing before when I was there, how I could just be getting out of the car. Now I have to wait for them to bring my wheelchair around, and now everybody's waiting for me. And now I just feel so out of place. And so it was very a personal thing. I realized that it wasn't really my friends. When I started being confident around people, things really changed. for me. You know, it was like really how I felt about the injury that they were like reflecting off of. If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense or you guys had any different takes. Does
Yeah.
anybody want to jump in that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I 100% agree. I think it's more us self-doubting ourselves and like being self-conscious about ourselves because I feel like I just jumped right in and was like, you know what, if you're gonna be my friend, this is what it's gonna be like now. And oh well. So I think just jumping yourself in, and I know it can be really hard at times and it can be really scary, but I feel like I would much rather have someone be honest with me and be real and not make me feel uncomfortable because what's the point of us hanging out if the whole time I'm just gonna be in a bad mood or I'm gonna be second guessing myself or I'm gonna be like, thinking about should I even be here? Because then it's like, what's the point of going out if that's all you're gonna be thinking about? But I do think that as your independence grows, your confidence grows. So I feel like the more independent I got and the more I could do by myself, like, hey, I got it. Don't worry, you don't have to get up at the table if I have to go to the restroom or like, oh, don't worry, like I got it. I can put my own chair in the car or whatever. Most of the times my friends will do it for me, like putting the chair and stuff in my car, but like knowing the fact that I can do it if they
Mhm.
need me to, or if I don't feel comfortable around them, really helps. And not only with friends, but I think that with dating also really applies. So I feel like the more confident you are, the more independent you are. It kind of is like goes hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree. Anybody else on that subject?
I
Yeah,
think oh,
you can go, Jessica.
I was just gonna say it's interesting because when I first got injured, I kind of assessed my like I kind of noticed what each friend was comfortable with. Like I had a group of friends, so like one of them learned to cast, the other one learned everything about the chair. So like each person kind of did something, and we were very open. They literally, I had like my friends will tell you like I've seen everything on Jessica because at this point in my life, well, I do everything on my own, but I was very honest too. I was like, well, I can't cast. So if I'm going out with you guys, who's gonna learn? And granted, they literally, four of my friends like stood there and just watched how to cast me. But it's just that only one of them got it down. She was like, I got this. And the other ones tried and they'd struggle, but if worse came to shove, they were all ready to do it. So I was like Erika said, I was very honest. I was like, look, I can't cast, and if I have to pee, I'm gonna have a stroke. I'm not gonna go into autonomic dysreflexia. But I was very honest with my friends, and I think they don't know our injury, so they don't know how to help us. So if you're very honest with like, hey, who's gonna do what? I think it really makes a difference. Sometimes it is our own insecurity of like, oh shoot, like how am I gonna ask someone to cast me, or how am I gonna ask someone to grab my chair, and real friends will stick around because I mean all my friends kind of did. I think I've lost more friends to marriage and children than I have because of my injury. So yeah, exert that confidence to say, hey, this is what I need and this is how I need to be helped. And it really does make a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Communication. Were you gonna say something, Nikki, about this one?
Yeah, I guess I was gonna like I agree with everything everyone was saying, but I guess from a different little perspective is every a lot of times when we do something, we do things together a lot. And I always think of like Ashley, like she's in a power chair, she can't easily get into everyone's car if she wants to be as independent as possible if she's going out. Sorry, I'm putting her on blast. And but so sometimes it's like I agree with everything that Erica and Jessica were saying, but I guess what I was sitting here wondering is like how would a quad feel? Like like I can tell my friends, oh, I can get in your car, we could break down the chair because I'm in a manual. But sometimes when I do want to do things and I want Ashley to come with, it's harder to think of that one because she isn't as independent. She's in a power chair. She wants to go out and be as mobile as possible because then she would probably feel more as a burden because someone would have to push her around. So it's like I understand his comment. I forget his name already. Caesar's comment.
Mhm.
like that he feels like a bird, that it could feel like a bird. I mean, I don't know his level of injury or anything, but that has to be tough. And like, I can't imagine that, because I am able to just express to my friends, like, let's just go in your car and hop in there. But sometimes I do see it from a point of view, I guess, of like Ashley, like it must be kind of tough, because you know when you're out and about, you need all the help, especially if you want to like go places. Not everybody has a like accessible van. Nobody does unless you're injured, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just
think
want to add. Oh, sorry. No, I just want to say I definitely agree that it puts into perspective that, like you mentioned, we're little snowflakes. We're all at different levels. We all have different, like, I know, like, in the beginning of my injury, I really had no balance. So even in sitting in certain cars was hard for me. Like, I still find difficulties getting in trucks. So, like, if you have a truck, I probably will not be getting in your car. We'll probably be taking my car. But I definitely agree, because when I went on vacation, I was like 3 months post injury, and I was freaking in Cabo, Mexico. And it was like, I didn't feel comfortable getting into taxis in and out so rushed in my like regular chair. So what we would do is we would call like a lift, but in a van. And I didn't know they had those. And they just like wheel you right up and put you in and take you where you want to go and come out. But I think like that's hard. Like, that's hard to like ask that, like, I need something different than what you guys need, like, because I felt that for the first time, like, you guys need to accommodate to me because I can't be in these like little taxis or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think I do agree with that, and that your environment and your surroundings really plays a big role on how independent you can be. But I think one of the positive things is like now that we kind of had through this pandemic, like I love even like our lives and being able to communicate this way, or like how Netflix offers that like you can watch the same movie at the same time even though you're in different spaces. Like if like those options are like so good to like bridge that gap. Like if your friends are willing to, I forgot his name as well, I think Peter, like doing stuff like that, or like virtual game night through FaceTime, or even finding other members in the community. Like me and Nikki and Ashley had a FaceTime dinner night the other day, and it was great. And they live in, another state than me. So I think just finding like those unique ways to kind of get around it is like really good too.
I
Yeah,
totally agree.
I don't know if I can so when I first got injured, I was in a power chair too. I am a quad, so no, I couldn't cap. I couldn't do most things on my own. And I'm in California, so I don't know if it's different, California and Chicago. So I would tell my friends that I would plan where we were going and what we were doing, and I would call access. So I had a van that would come pick me up and take me to wherever we were going. And like I said, I was very honest with my friends, and a lot of them learned to cast, a lot of them learned how to help me, but they didn't know how to help me unless I told them. But yeah, being in a power chair is totally different. The reason why I was so determined to get out of my power chair was the fact that I couldn't get in every car. One time I went in Access. I wanted to go to the movies with my sister, and here they let you ride with one extra person for free. So my sister went with me, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. It started raining, and the access guy forgot that they had to pick me up, or they said that they showed up, but they were on the other side. And I was just so frustrated. And it was like I was in a power chair in the middle of the night, and like it's such a different experience to be in a power chair. But yeah, so I was frustrated as hell, but we do have access out here, which is like these little buses that are that's their job. They come pick you up, drive you. Eventually I was picked up, but I mean, being very vocal with what you need is been what helps me as a quad. um, I've been carried 2-3 stories when need be, or I have the shittiest transfers. There's no way I'll ever get in a truck by myself. I can't do floor recovery, so when and if I fall out of my chair, because it happens, I do need help. So I think as a quad, it is more difficult. But if you're really honest with your friends and your family of what you need, I mean, like I said, all my friends were trained to cast. So it just depends on how vocal you are. I think we're more of a burden because we think we are than what we actually are.
I was just gonna say that as well. A lot of it is like if you remove that from your vocabulary, because the person that's helping you, you have to like put it inside your head that would you be helping them? Are you asking for too much? Would it be too much if they were asking this of you? And usually, majority of the time, the answer is no. But I still have those feelings where you just want to be so independent. So when I finally did get my independence back inside of my chair, I was trying to do everything by myself. And when I can't, then it would be like, oh, that like just moment where, oh, should I ask? Should I not ask? And it just shoves my disability in my face, right? It reminds me that I even have to ask for help. And that's, I think, where the anger and frustration comes in. Over time, I've like really had to just dismiss it from myself because it just gives me so much anxiety. So it's just like, this is what I got to do next to make myself have a great day, to make myself comfortable in the next situation, and the people that I choose to surround myself with should be people that I'm comfortable with asking if it's necessary, and there was some people that I wasn't comfortable with being around and did make me feel like a burden, and they're not my friends anymore, and that's just the way it got to be. So you got to cut some people off, because I look at this injury as life changing for me. Everything changed around. So also the group of people that I surrounded myself with was not the best. And I can acknowledge that now. I've like learned how to create healthy friendships and like really work on myself and whoever is around me. And so I think that's important. And I think that when you are trying to build up friendships again and talk to people after injury, like, Erika and Jessica said, be vocal, I think that that's a hard part, but once you start doing it, you start getting the hang of it more, and it starts getting like a little bit more easier and easier and easier every time that you need to do it. So that would be my advice on that. Is there anything else that you guys want to add to frustrations or anything like that? I feel like we touched on a lot of frustrations. Are we good? Okay. So just before we close out, just touching on any advice you would give to people that are going through all these things, and in that hard negative spot in their lives, maybe they're going through their first year or their first life day is coming up and they don't know what to do, or how to handle it, and what would you say to them, and how would you keep them pushing? So that's what we're going to go off of. So Ashley and Nicki, you want to go first?
Any advice? So any advice to, I would say, feel the emotions. Right, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
Find a support group.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to people in the community because that helps.
Those are great ones.
I would say my word of advice, I think I would tell myself when those negative emotions come up is to be, I guess to be what? It's normal, I feel like. It's normal, right? Yeah. And normal, quotation. Yeah, whatever normal is. And I think it's important to feel the emotions because they're natural, they're gonna happen. But it's also just like enjoy the moments, and of course everything's easier said than done, but just handle it. I mean, you're here for a reason. Yeah, personally, for Ashley and I think it's been difficult because we have dealt with a lot of different dynamics in all aspects of our life after injury. Like everything has changed, and we were each other's best friend. Like we would be that person that would be there for each other, but now we are both paralyzed. And I think it was important to just, what Ashley and I do is like enjoy the moments that we have together, even if life doesn't look the way that we had planned. Yeah. But I feel like everything works out for a reason, and as cliche as it is, everything happens for a reason. And sometimes I think it's just figuring that out, and we're still figuring it out. We're only 2 years out. Everything changed, and not only that, but we also been going through this pandemic, and we couldn't just get back to life. So just everything has been flipped upside down in terms of the injury, Rona. So I think it's just important to just live in the present moment because you never know when your life will be like on pause.
Yeah. So important to remember. That's something that I was going to mention before too. I think these things are hard, like showering and bathing and getting up before, because we took it for granted before, and like they say, you don't know what you have until it's gone. So for me, it's like, if I could just be able to take a shower like before, I promise I will appreciate it, I promise I won't be complaining about life, because honestly, when I could use the bathroom and I could get up and I could just go and I could shower, I still had life problems. I was still going through stuff. I was still losing friends. I was still going through relationship stuff. Life still went on. And so, like, I think that that's an important thing to remember. So, Erica, how about you? Do you have any last advice?
Yeah, I was just gonna say focus on the positives, and if you don't have positives, make positives. When I'm having a
Mhm.
bad day and everything's going left and right, I'm like, you know what? Let me order some food and have a pizza night and a little break. And that works perfectly fine. Not every day of your life is going to be exciting or it's going to be good. If not, you wouldn't know when it's good. But I would definitely say, like, don't sulk and don't dwell because you're just letting it go by. And I know that can be hard at times, but find stuff and I want to say find little stuff. I think sometimes people are so caught up that good days have to be like Disneyland trips or vacations, or like you have these like big expectations for like the day I walk again is going to be the best day ever. Like, no, the best day ever can be a lazy Sunday where you maybe got a couple chores in and got a rest and got good food and maybe had a phone call with someone you hadn't spoke to a long time. Like, those could be the best days ever too. So I think like just focusing on that and creating happiness for yourself, make happiness, be happiness. So definitely, I think I would say that.
Yes, I love it so much. How about you, Jessica?
How am I following after Erica? That was amazing. I think that's the best way to put it. I think life is balance, and even though we can be having a really hard time, especially our anniversary dates. Um, okay, so being a quad, right? Being able to like use my tenodesis. Like I remember the first time I was able to do that, and I was just like so excited. And able-bodied people might not get it, like how amazing it is to be able to use your tenodesis, but it is. And so I know that when your anniversary comes up, I know something got better that year. I know even if it was that you were able to, I don't know, pick your nose. I'm sorry, but I couldn't pick my nose. So if it's even like something got better, I know it did. And um, even if some things got worse. So life's balance, there are good and there are bad. So if you're going to identify all the bad, challenge yourself to identify the good as well.
Yes, I agree so much. I'm like, that leads to mine, because mine would just mainly be that I have to constantly remind myself that life isn't attacking me. This is an attack against me. Because before I would be like, oh my gosh, why does life hate me? And I really felt that way. I would say it all the time, even before my injury, honestly. And I just had to realize that life is hard and obstacles are going to come. And after I get over one obstacle, that does not mean that I'm never going to have another one. And it's not about those obstacles. It's about how you rise above it, how you keep on going. That's what's important. How you handle it, how you treat other people. That's important. It's not the times that you fail. It's not the things that go wrong that define who you are. And I think that that's such an important thing to remember in this, because we're learning. It's a learning curve, right? So there's going to be a frustrating process of it. So just keep going and remember that just like bad days come, good days come too. And to stay focused and stay motivated and positive and find little goals. I think that little goals really help save so much for me. So yeah.
And
Anybody else have
lastly,
anything else?
I just,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I just want to add, someone put in the comments here that peer mentor would have made a huge difference for me. I think the most like amazing thing that I was not expecting when I found the spinal cord injury community is how freaking amazing and open they are. Like we are the friendliest people I've ever met. I swear. I'll run into people like the other day I was at the store and this guy also in a wheelchair. I didn't even notice him, but I got out of my car and then someone was like, "Hey, have a good day." And I was like, and I looked and there was another guy in a wheelchair and he was like, "Yeah, have a great day." And we were both going to the same Target. So it was like the awkward stroll next to each other, but it was just like so cute that he was just like, "Yeah, have a good day." And I was like, "You too, man." I don't know. I think definitely yes, finding community and whether reaching us out through social media, like all of our ats on Insta are tagged. We are very friendly. At least for me, like reach out to me if I have time, we can chat. Like I just think it's such a great thing that I didn't even experience before my injury. Like not everyone is nice, you know? But definitely in the spinal cord injury community, I feel like everyone I've met by far is like the nicest soul and just this injury makes you close on such a personal level that you would not expect. And I think it's just beautiful that people in the community are embracing each other's company and are embracing each other's journeys. So, yeah, definitely reach out. You're so right, Lynn. Yeah, peer mentorship, find someone and stick with them and don't let them go.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it doesn't have to be somebody that's right there in the same city as you, because I know that can be hard too. That's something that's so cool about the social media that Erica mentioned too, is that we're doing tons of groups now. So the Triumph Foundation has groups almost every single day of the week. So if you're interested in that, you want to join in and find out what it's about, message me either on Instagram. My email is the same name as my Instagram, but just at gmail.com. So if you're interested in that, I'll send you the full list and you can join in whenever you want in our meetings and talk about spinal cord injuries and ask questions. And yeah, our community loves and supports and uplifts each other in everything that we do. So it's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. This is great. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to like what Erika was saying because I love that the disability community is awesome. And I was just like gonna say how I've talked with multiple people in this community, and we always it's like crazy because when you go through especially when it happens like traumatically or like midlife or whatever the case may be, your mindset change. Everybody I've met in this community, our mindset is just so different, and I think all of like us girls can probably agree with that. It just is different, but definitely if you're newly injured, reach out to people in the community. Yeah, it helps.
1,000%. I totally agree. We always say we're the club that nobody wants to join, but once you're in your family. So I always love that.
Definitely.
No.
Yes. So this was great. I had a really good conversation. I was a little bit worried because when I was thinking about it, a lot of emotions were coming up, but I think it's totally normal for all of us to feel that way and like to go through these experiences. So I'm excited. It was a great show and I can't wait to do another one. Make sure that you guys tune in on Tuesdays at 3:30. Sean does the show with the boys and they have great topics on. And then I do mine every 2 weeks. So every first and third Thursday, we're back with new topics. And so that's really exciting. Make sure that you go to our website, live2roll.org, and you order some amazing merchandise from us. And just make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel as well, because overall it helps us reach more people and touch more lives. And that's what we're here and what it's all about. So thank you again for everybody who joined us in the chat. We appreciate all your comments. We love you guys so much. And we will be back soon. This was Live to Roll. Bye, guys.
Bye.